Well, good evening, everyone. We'd like to welcome Sean Ralston from Seancutshair. He's from Owensboro, Kentucky. We're privileged and honored to have you today, Sean. Can you tell us a little bit about, because I know everybody's been wondering how you ever got started in barbering?
Yeah, so I actually hadn't really ever been to a barber. I guess maybe as a young kid, but kind of through the, I guess, 90s, 2000s, barbers weren't as popular there for a while. So went to a salon, and I guess I was in my early 20s, and a friend of mine at work kind of just suggested to go to his barber with him one time. Said like, you could use a cooler haircut, basically more or less. So I went with him, and it was totally new experience, different kind of type barbershop that I'd ever been to. The haircut was super good. I ended up clicking with the barber. We became good friends really fast, and really over a quick amount of time, I started taking all my friends there. Which in turn, I was at the shop 3, 4, 5 days a week. At some point, super busy shops. We were just hanging in there, waiting for our turn to get a haircut. And I just really started to kind of fall in love with the culture of it. I really thought it was, it looked like a cool job. I like working with my hands. I like finishing projects. I would sit there and wait, an hour, hour and a half sometimes, and watch him make, over $100 while I sat there. And at the time I was making, $12 an hour, who knows what. So yeah, just a lot of things kind of drew me to it. And then I actually was helping him move around town and riding with him. And I just kind of said, like, man, you think it's something I can do? And he said, oh yeah, like I think anybody. And this is one of my favorite quotes of the whole story too. Is he said, I think anybody can cut hair. It's where you want to take it. Is what's up to you, which is something that stuck with me. And I've really tried to take it far. So I'm kind of proud to think back to that conversation and that statement being what kind of got me into it, and then being able to take it where I've taken it is pretty exciting.
Well, you've done great things.
Well,
You
thank you.
recently had a barber show, so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of the same thing. Like I have been traveling probably for 5 or 6 years, and working at barber expos and different things like that. Similar types of events. And when early on when I started to go, I could only afford to go to stuff really that was driving distance. I couldn't really afford multiple flights and things like that. And like say maybe even Atlanta. I mean, there was times I drove to Atlanta, left at 2 in the morning, went to Atlanta for Bronner Brothers, left at 5 p.m. and drove all the way home. I just couldn't afford to miss work. I couldn't afford hotels. And then, as I grew, I got to go to more. As I started working with some of these companies, I got to go to more. But I just always thought that this area was lacking, in having something like that. And it wasn't really a goal of mine. I honestly, somebody had asked me before if I would make, a Kentucky Expo, and I said, nah, I don't think that's something I really want to do. Um, and then last year we had just kind of a networking event at my barbershop, and it went crazy. It was almost 100 people. It sold out in like 3 days. And so I've just built the right relationships. The time was just kind of right. I had built the right relationships with not only like Kentucky barbers, people at barber schools, that have a lot of students. My Kentucky network had grown, but also my network that helped me put on the show had grown, as far as vendors and like the people that came in to host or judge and things like that. So when I just kind of had the idea to do that event again, but I wanted to do it bigger, it just kind of made sense to kind of, I don't know if it made sense, but it was close enough to a little small expo that we thought, let's just go for it. Let's make it a full on expo and see what we can do. And man, I was pleasantly surprised. It was even well beyond what I expected it to be.
Yeah, I think all the students enjoyed it as well. I was there.
Good.
It was pretty big. It was exciting. There was always something going on. You kept it very educational. That's one thing I see that you're big on, and we kind of wanted to ask you some questions on that. Now you can take barber classes online, not in Kentucky,
All right. Yeah.
but other places. So tell me what would set that apart.
I think one thing I've done, I've been teaching in some capacity since I started, because early on I opened my barbershop and I've been helping train my barbers. But I've always taught to where it makes sense to the very beginner barber. So I keep things simple, and sometimes I get some, people comment or people say like, "Oh, there's faster ways to do that." There's more. You would think you would be more advanced, and I can do things different. I can do things faster, but I've always taught in a way that somebody that is brand new, so like even my wife, I had my wife cut my hair one day and walked her through it, and she did a good job. So I like to just always keep it to its simplest way possible. And I think a lot of times you see other people educate if they are really, let's say, really fast or they have some really cool techniques, they're going to teach you that, and
Yes.
not everybody can do that. So I always like to keep mine just as broad and simple as it can be. And then if you were to want to take a one-on-one class with me and you're a little more advanced, then I can break out some more advanced stuff. Um, but yeah, I just always focus on trying to keep it as simple as possible. And I think I have a skill to really, even in a room setting, in like a classroom setting with multiple people, I have a talent, I think, to kind of pick up on, are people understanding what I'm saying? Do I need to explain in a different way? Do they need to see more or do they need to be explained more? As a teacher, like
Yes.
some people see and learn, some people need hands-on, some people need to explain more. So I think I'm pretty good at picking that up as well, and really making sure that the people get what they need out of the class, whether that be a one-on-one or a classroom setting or like the show was, 250.
I agree. I believe it's about the value more than it is
Right,
how fast you are. Yeah.
right.
So, share some of your experiences, like in Barber College. What was some of the funniest things that happened to you, or something that's memorable?
Oh man, I mean, barber school is definitely memorable. I think everybody goes through it. It is. I had definitely some lifelong friends, that I'll keep forever that I went to school with. My teacher was unique. He was, I think, 76 when I went, so very, a lot of years in the industry, very knowledgeable. And he had mentioned that he was a platform artist and did some of the things that I'm doing now. Way back. I mean, maybe even in the 60s. He was that was 12 years ago, and he was 70 something. So yeah, I mean, he was a long time barber and knew a lot about it. So that was super cool. Um, I don't know. I think we had your standard barber school things, somebody messing somebody up pretty bad, and just watching that go down, watching the teacher defend them. Definitely had this, some of the students that didn't last, and a couple of them, like they lost their mind after after 6 months and left. I don't know. It was a fun experience. Every time I drive through Bowling Green, I think like, man, I did this 5 days a week, drove an hour and drove back. So definitely some good memories. Was glad to be done. Glad that I only had to do that once, but I would tell anybody that thinks about being a barber, like, I had a rough 11 months of driving an hour in the morning, hour home, working at night, broke as a joke. But I would absolutely do it over again. And I encourage people to kind of go through that 1 year of difficulty, maybe. And some people don't have it as difficult, but I definitely had it pretty difficult. But go through that, and, it can absolutely change your life and put you on a path. It's crazy where I've been able to get. And I can't imagine had I not made that, took that leap.
I agree. I have a family member that's a teacher, and I ended up making more than he did, and he went 4 years of college. And
All right.
some people will argue with me over the fact they're like, there's no way you can make that much money. Yeah, I mean, and just going to school that short amount of time, it's been
Right.
great. Yeah. So, how did you grow on social media so quick?
Just it actually happened in different kind of sporadic times. You just have. I always use the term viral, but viral really is even beyond the barber community. But if we just say, if I use the term viral, it means in the barber community. I just had a post here and there on Instagram do really well, and then my biggest advice for people that do content is like pay attention. Don't just post it and forget.
I agree.
So I noticed a couple of my posts. I mean, I had my first thing ever do like 3 million views. I had never done a million.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, what was different about that? And it was kind of a sketch that was funny that barbers relate to. So I started doing more of those. And I actually had a kind of a period in time in about 6 months where I did like 4 or 5 different ones. And I went from like 10K to 75,000 followers.
That's
Um,
amazing.
Same thing on YouTube. I posted tutorials, I posted transformations, I posted tool unboxings. Well, my tool unboxings and reviews always did better. So I just kind of shifted to, eventually I became that guy that reviewed everything that came out, and you had to go to my channel to see it. So, just paid attention to not even trends, because I don't think I really followed trends. I kind of just did my own thing, but paying attention to what did well and doing more of that. And if something did terrible, I didn't do it again.
Yeah.
I didn't waste my time. So,
I get that.
yeah.
So, how would you suggest someone that's interested in promoting products? Because I get this, and that's one question that I distinctly remember the students want me to ask you. How would you, uh, if they're wanting to get starting in promoting products, how would they go about that socially? Like to get their name out there, to even stand out, and to, yeah, promote that.
Yeah. I mean, standing out that's the key, right? Like you can't,
Yes.
I remember a long time ago, I took a class from my guy, Los Cuddick, that's with Babyliss. And he said, a lot of you guys in this room want to become somebody one day, but where everybody fails is, as much as I appreciate, like, let's talk to your students. Much as I appreciate if they like what I do or they look up to me for where they want to get, you can't be me. There's already a Seancutshair. And Los said
That's right.
there's already a Los Cuddick. So don't try to be me. You really have to find your own way. And just like paying attention to that content, they need to throw out a bunch of different, I can't remember the phrase, but throw a bunch of something at the wall and see what sticks, right? Like, so you just need to, one, like, turn the camera on, make content, put stuff out there. Pay attention to what does well, pay attention to what people like, pay attention to what you're comfortable with, what you enjoy. And then if you find something that hits all of that, that's what you need. That's where you need to be. So I think most people fail at just starting and putting stuff out and seeing where it goes. That's the first thing I think can help. And not to say you can't take inspiration from, myself or other people that you like, but kind of take all of that stuff that you like and throw it into something that's you, put it out there and see where it goes.
I see. So, what do you think would be the biggest trend that stands out today? I know barbering's come a long way, and I actually pushed for that a lot of years. So,
Yeah.
what would you think would be the biggest trend today for you?
Like as a barber,
Yes, like what would be the biggest haircutting, what goes and sells the most?
I mean, I definitely made a name for myself a couple different times with, the haircuts that were popular.
Yes.
So the side part, really tight side part, comb over with the part cut in. When I first started, I got really good at that, and I mean that's pretty much all I did all day, and I was known for that. Now it's kind of the textured mullet kind of, there's a lot of variations of that. But I think I'm known for that. I get a lot of people that come in. There will be people that'll travel here to have me do it because they've seen them on my page and like what I do. But again, it's like finding what you're good at and doubling down on that, right? So for me, I think that's it. I still stay true to my, tool reviews and type of things that I do. I can only do Babyliss tools at this point, since I'm educating for them, but I still try to do those to fill that space for people that want to learn about those tools. But yeah, I think I've just figured out what I'm good at, and I try to stay true to it.
That's awesome. So, what would be your unique approach to building a rapport with all your clients?
Just being yourself. I mean, that's the thing, right? If you come in here and you try to be somebody else, or really like try to appeal to everybody. Of course, when you start, you want to be able to take anybody, male, female, black, white, kids. I mean, you better cut it all.
True.
And as you get further in, you can that number can go down a little bit. You can be a little more picky. But yeah, I think I was myself. People knew I cared a lot. I was going to do a good job. They knew I was passionate about what I do. And even when I probably wasn't that good, they still knew I was doing as good as I could. And that's all somebody wants. Like even if maybe I could get a better haircut over here, but this guy doesn't care about me, or he's late, or whatever it is, like this guy is putting everything he has into this. He's investing in his tools. He's investing in himself to learn, and just make sure they know your job is to take care of them. I think that's something I always did. I still do. I still, I charge a lot, but I still offer that same service. If a client has a pop up emergency something, I'm going to come up here and cut their hair. Even if it's 8 o'clock at night, I'll come up here and take care of them or fit them in or move them around. Or, I haven't gotten like more difficult since I got more booked up. I still make sure I take care of my
Yeah,
people. And I think that's ultimately that is what, we're in the service industry. So the more they feel like they're taken care of, you should have no problem.
I agree. So, have you had any memorable experiences with any clients that you'd care to share?
I don't have too many crazy ones myself. We have had a guy that like I don't remember the story exactly, but got a haircut and it was kind of a I don't want to go into detail, but kind of a gruesome out not he didn't kill anybody, but kind of a rough story. But his mugshot was in the on the news or in the paper the next day with like, and he had just come in here, and it was crazy enough that everybody was talking about it. And so we were like, well, the joke was like, well, at least he got a fresh haircut before he, went and did all that. I've had a client run out halfway through a haircut because his wife was having a baby before. I got
You've
most of my
had some.
clients that I have now are lifetime. They've been with me the whole time. So
Wow,
we got lots of stories. They've been at my wedding and stuff like that. But yeah, we've definitely had our fair share of some
that's so
interesting
cool.
barbershop moments.
And what's your favorite tool? I know you use Babyless all the time. So, what in that range would you say yours is your
This,
favorite?
this is my favorite right now.
Oh,
I call
wow.
it the clutch yellow, but it's called the neon. But it is exactly you see the cape from the show.
Yes,
It is
we
exactly.
love that. Yeah.
Oh man, exactly the color. So this is my go-to right now. I'm also using the 245 clipper and trimmer that just came out. But yeah, I don't know if you can see, but there's like
I see
six
it.
there's like six clippers right here and four on my station. It's stressing me out, to be honest. I got to clean it up.
And
Oh,
what is your favorite product? What would you say?
uh, I use the 245 indestructible clay 95% of the time. It's in my hair right now. It's really moldable. It's a matte finish, so it doesn't look real like sticky or wet or hard. And it's movable throughout the day. So like I threw my hoodie on to come up here, it like smashed my hair down. I can
Wow.
just like scrunch it back up and it looks good. So that's my go-to 90% of the time. And then we just put out a couple more products and we have a paste that is competing with the clay. I'm really liking the new paste that we put out. So
Yeah, I got to try that, by the way.
it's really
So,
good.
uh, what would you say in compared to beauty industry? What would you say makes barbering stand out?
That's tough. I think the opposite side of your question, we didn't stand out because we couldn't use scissors and people had to go to the salon. And so I like that is, um, a trend. It's trending up in the barber industry is using scissors and being able to do a little bit of everything versus just a fade. Um, yeah, I think the barbershop, these days it's not just a man's place
Mhm.
anymore, I don't think, which is something I wanted to do in my shop. I wanted it to be very, anybody welcome, moms and kids and just anybody. But I think the barbershop vibe has gone away from either the men only place or the
Yes.
the community, like it was men, but it was the
Mhm.
community spot. So now it's really, I know for us here, it is a very versatile, very big group, just community place. Um, and I think, I'm not real knowledgeable about salons, but I know salons more commonly are kind of your own unique space. It's not as like of a group project, right? So I think the
Not as
barbershop,
tailored. Yeah,
yeah,
not as
the
tailored.
barbershop still brings that. And then I think today it's even opened up bigger because you got kids and you got just everybody you can imagine in here. Also on the barber side, you got male, female, young, old, all in one place.
Mhm.
And I think it's just an exciting place. It's got an atmosphere that you can't really get. I know. Surprised you can't hear my guys right now. I'm in my studio, but they're out there cutting up, having a good time. So I
That's
think
awesome.
I think that's something barbershops have that you can't really get anywhere else.
That's cool. That's true. So, what would you say has changed in the recent decade or so in barbering?
The biggest, I would say, appointments is one big thing. see a lot. I won't say everybody, but I see a lot of barbers doing appointments now, which was when I started was unheard of. When I opened my shop, we went on appointments, only shop in town doing appointments. That was 8 years ago. So, in 8 years, obviously when COVID happened, I think the law said in Kentucky that we had to do it by appointment.
Yes.
So that forced a lot of people. I think some of them have gone back to doing walk-ins only. But I think appointments are good. I think for as barbers, we want to appear professional, or not appear professional. We want to be
Yeah.
professional. And I think appointments give you the chance to be more professional and be more on time. It also gives you the chance to do appointments and be worse. But I just think operating on walk-ins and 2 hour waits and stuff, those are things of the past, and I'm glad to see it. Um, and I also think, like I said, the trend is changing from barbers using old tools and doing
Yeah.
flat tops and fades only to now you're seeing you're seeing color, you're seeing a couple of my guys can cut women's hair, longer hair. I can cut my wife's hair, So I think it's changed. The Cosmo industry is getting closer. We're closer to the same, I'll say. They still got a few things I think they do, better or do more of, but I think it's getting closer together, which is, it's fine with me. You might have some old school guys that don't like that, but it's fine with me. I like seeing some new stuff. It keeps it exciting.
So if you could tell the students one thing that might help them as far as what mistakes you might see some making or they could avoid, what would that be?
It's easy. This is my answer 99% of the time. And I go to conventions, expos, and I get asked all kind of different questions, but this is always my answer. It's really all about just showing up and doing what you're supposed to do. Like if you're a new barber, you need to be there on time.
Agree.
Really, I would like you to be there early. You don't need to turn away people. If it's lunchtime and there's a walk-in, you don't go to lunch. You cut the walk-in. Like if you operate how you're supposed to the max of what you're supposed to be doing, there's no way that you fail. If you want to make content, then you need to be disciplined. You need to take the time to do it. I mean, it really goes across. Like if you're going to do this podcast and you're going to commit to it, then you need to do it. You need to do it however often you say you're going to do it. If you do it once and quit, then you fail. I mean,
Yes.
it really is that simple. I've seen it. I've seen barbers come in and they say they want to do it, and then they start coming in late, and 6 months later they quit because they didn't make it. I've seen guys come in and put the work in, and they're doing great. So I really believe it's that easy. I know I've been all over the country, and there's lazy people everywhere, and I tell everybody it is really easy to outwork everybody. It really is. If you want to make a podcast, I've talked about it. I haven't done it. Look, here you've done it. You outworked me, right? Like it's really it's that easy.
Just
You
being
want to do something?
consistent.
Right. Yeah. Be consistent. Put the work in. Whatever XYZ is going to take to get it done. If you do
Yes.
that, you'll get it done. Like it's really that simple, I think.
What would you say to some student that's getting out of school wanting to open a shop?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I think it's important to look at why you want to open a shop. I think too many people think they want to open a shop. It's going to make them all this money, or maybe they feel cool. I don't know all the reasons. I know the reason I did it is because I was very much so held back at the shop I was at, and it was a great start for me. But I got so busy, I couldn't do appointments. I couldn't raise my prices. I couldn't work outside the hours, and so I had to do something. So that's why I opened the shop, and then really ideally, I did the shop so that any of my barbers would have the same freedoms that I was having, that they would have no ceiling, and I wouldn't limit them by the things that I was limited by. But I'll tell you, I've been here over 8 years. I haven't made a ton of money. I have 2 locations, double the headache, lot of people to deal with. Like that's the job of an owner, is dealing with the barbers. You're not so much dealing with the clients. This is your clientele, is your barbers. So I got 17 different personalities to keep happy. It's just not as easy, maybe, as it sounds. And of course, you don't have to go as big as me. It'd be a little easier with probably 3 chairs, maybe. But I think it's just important to look at, why do you want to do it?
Yeah.
If it doesn't turn out this way, are you going to still be happy? You know what? Because
That's right.
I think a lot of people can thrive in a barbershop and don't need to open a barbershop. So I think it's just take a deep look at why you want to do it. Make sure that that's the right thinking, and if it is, then go for it. It can be good. I wouldn't be where I'm at had I not
That's
done
true.
it. But
That's true.
I can't say I just tell everybody go do it. It's amazing, whatever. I don't have all positive, just happy feelings about it. It's been difficult, but yeah, I wouldn't be where I'm at had I not either. So I think you just got to think it through, like anything else, right?
And barbers, how would you think that how could they support one another in this industry?
That's tough. I mean, I think everything's always better as a team, right? So
Yes.
I think collectively, like for one, I think teaming up on like if you're new to a shop and there's a couple guys, you guys work together on how can we market and make posts, and let's help each other make content, and let's get people in the door. And even if one guy's getting busier than the rest, eventually he's going to have too much and it's going to spill over. So
Right.
I think you can. One of my guys on my team, Nate, that was at my show, he probably said this at the show, and I'll probably mess it up. But he said, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with the team.
Yeah.
So that's one of our mottos. We can just achieve a lot more by using the people around us, using everybody's strengths, and then you're a lot stronger. So yeah, I think you just whatever scenario you're in, you just look at the people around you and how collectively can you get to where you want to get.
Now we seen that at the hair show, so you did a great job of
Yeah.
that, and y'all did support one another, and it was obvious and it was amazing.
Well, thank you.
So expos, how, and I know you just had one, so I just
Yep.
kind of want to see your point on that. How to the students, how big is that to go to those and to grow in those?
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on your goal, right? Like my goal was to be a platform artist. I wanted to travel. I didn't want to just stay at home. I wanted to travel in some way cutting hair, whether that was teaching, whether I was selling products. Because for years I just worked behind the booth selling the stuff. I didn't get to cut hair. So I think again, it's important to see or to think about, what's the goal when you're thinking about going to these things. Is it a fun weekend? Yeah. It's a cool weekend. Can you learn some stuff? Yeah, like that's enough. But also, it could be a weekend out of the shop, and it costs money. So you just have to look at, what's the goal? What are you expecting to get out of it? If you go to a couple of years just for the uplifting environment and networking and getting a couple new tools, I think that's great. If you want to build relationships with companies and do what I'm doing, then absolutely. That's the only way to do it. You have to get out there. You have to shake hands. You have to become a familiar face. And that's everybody, more or less everybody at my show as a vendor are people that I have built relationships with over the years. And they said, absolutely. They didn't even know where Owensboro was. They didn't know how they're going to get here and none of that. And they said they would do it just because of the relationships that we've built. So I think if you want to go beyond, you want to get out of the shop, you want to do something along the lines of what I'm doing, then absolutely it's so strong to get out to some of these shows. And that's why I brought this here too, to connect our Kentucky people to some of these opportunities.
Networking, I agree.
Right.
It's all about networking. Well, all right. We're not going to take any more of your time up today. We just wanted to get some questions answered and get people more in tune with you, because actually my students they really wanted to see this and get some input from you. So,
Sure.
All right. You enjoy your day, and we appreciate you for coming on Bootsie's Barber Buzz. Thank you, Sean. You're doing great things. Keep it up.
Well, thank you. Hey, I'll come back to the school. You just let me know when.
All right.
You guys get together and get me out there, and I'll come down. That was a good trip last time. So just let me know.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
God bless.